Good morning. I think we need a little more volume. And then I have to get real loud. There we go. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Princeton, where in our open and welcoming community we live our message of hope, love, justice, and joy. We extend a special welcome to our visitors this morning. We're very glad that you've joined us. And if you haven't already stopped by the newcomer table, we invite you to do so after the worship service so that we can add you to our e-list and make sure to invite you to all of the different programs and events that we have happening here at UU Princeton. Again, welcome everyone to worship. We have a few announcements. The first is that it's finally here. Today is Styrofoam Sunday. Remember to carry in your foam after service today for upcycling in the lobby. This is organized by our wonderful Earth Ministry group. The next Super Foam Sunday is on February 8th. That's Super Bowl Sunday, so we're going to call it Super Foam Sunday. February 8th will be Super Foam Sunday. Also today after worship we have an Advent program. It's titled A Holy Rest and Introduction to Advent. It'll be at about 11:45 to 12:15, 12:30 or so in Foz Theater. We'll introduce Advent. You'll hear a little bit about it in the sermon, and we'll also introduce our Advent devotional that you can take with you today if you'd like to celebrate Advent at home. It's out there in Robinson Lounge, a green little booklet, a daily devotional practice you can take home with you if you like. And come to the program, 11:45 today, A Holy Rest. We'd also like to thank everyone who donated food to last Sunday's Gather and Give food drive. Many hands made quick work of packing 93 holiday fixins bags, and we also packed up lots of fresh veggies and additional canned food for a total of 1,513 pounds of food. And Louise, who coordinates this, yes, that's worth applause. Louise, who tirelessly organizes this event for us every year, said that we wrapped up by 12:15. There were so many hands to do that work. We wrapped up early. And best of all, there were no glass jars donated that caused accidents in the pantry. Thank you, everyone, for contributing to that food drive. We are now collecting holiday greeting and note cards for the Trenton Area Soup Kitchen. That's TASK. There are collection boxes in Robinson Lounge under the coat racks. Our task team will deliver them to TASK to share with their patrons in time for the holidays. And we also collect 2026 calendars and magazines. So if an extra calendar or two finds its way to you, perhaps in an advertisement or an end-of-year appeal, save it and bring it in here and we'll put it to good use. And now with open minds and loving hearts, with yesterday's wisdom and tomorrow's promise, let us worship together in peace and in unity. And we will now light our chalice, a symbol of our faith. In the match, we know the spark of creation. In the passing of the flame, we know the sharing of grace. In the steady light, we know the power of the good. And in the warmth, we know a love at our center and always reaching out. I invite you to join in our unison affirmation, which is number 506 in the back of your gray hymnal. Please read with me. May the glory of the passing away of autumn lie about us, fresh gold for a time. And when the dark comes and the cold, may we remember how today we stand in glory, how we walk in bounty, heaped upon earth's dark carpet, how we move knee-deep in abundance, flung against night's winter curtain. We are thankful for its coming and for its passing. Our meditation this morning comes from the pen of the great Buddhist leader Thich Nhat Hanh. I invite you to let your eyes fall closed, to center yourself in your seats. Find a space of deep breath. To relax your hands and your shoulders and your legs. Take a few nice deep breaths in. And let us meditate together. Let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. Let us return to ourselves and become holy ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being, common to us all and to all living things. Evoking a sense of great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion. Compassion for ourselves and for all living beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering to each other. With humility, with awareness of the existence of life and of the sufferings that are going on around us, let us practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and on earth. And here in the silence we offer these, the prayers and meditations of our hearts. And now, while remaining seated, I invite you to join in the hymn 83, Winds Be Still. Our reading this morning is a poem titled Sweet Darkness by the poet David White. Sweet Darkness. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. Time to go into the dark, where the night has eyes to recognize its own. There you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will be your home tonight. The night will give you a horizon further than you can see. You must learn one thing. The world was made to be free in. Give up all the other worlds except the one to which you belong. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. An old story speaks of a monk wanting to blissfully meditate in sublime peacefulness, but there are just too many distractions around him. Too much noise, too much busyness, too many people. And nothing obstructs this monk's spiritual ambition like people being people and doing people things, like living and making sounds. He's frustrated by their noise and desperate to find a place of stillness and quiet, and so he gets in a small boat and sets out for the middle of a nearby lake where no one will be around him, and he can bob amongst the waves in peace and just meditate his heart out, or meditate his mind out, as may be the case here. He can be alone, and for him, nothing could be more spiritual than being by himself, for alone there would be no distractions from his practice. He finds a spot in the middle of a lake, far away from everyone else, closes his eyes, and begins to meditate. But soon the boat is bumped by something. It disturbs him, but he thinks that perhaps it's a log, and so he stays in his practice. The bump happens again, and his frustration grows, but he continues to meditate. It happens a third time, and his eyes pop open, and he sees another boat in the lake, kind of close to him. He realizes that the other boat must be bumping up against his boat, and so he furiously peers into the other boat to give someone a piece of his mind, only to find that the boat is empty. An empty boat had distracted him from his practice. It had somehow just floated out there and interrupted his peace and quiet. But the resulting frustration was his doing. He had to own that, for no one else had caused it. The boat was empty, bumping up against his, because that's just what happens sometimes. His reaction was his. He destroyed his peace, but in the way of most wisdom stories, could regain it if he lived and learned. The wisdom here is saying that there will be distractions. Plans will be unmade by forces over which we have no control. There will be noises when we meditate. Babies will cry. People will sneeze. Cell phones will go off. It's seldom personal, although we often take it that way. The perfect peace needed for spiritual bliss will always include the noise and busyness of the world. It'll include people and being noisy when we'd rather they not be. And so a spiritual practice cannot be seen as an escape from the real world. Instead, it folds in the real world and develops within us the discipline to mature our response, to control not the world, but how we respond to it. I still wish I had come across that story about the monk and the boat before I saw Carousel on Broadway several years ago. It starred Jessie Mueller, who by then had starred in Beautiful, the Carole King musical, and Waitress. I had seen her in the latter, but had missed the former. And so I was very eager to see her in a show that I expected to like more than Waitress, although I did like Waitress. I just thought I'd like Carousel more. And it also starred Renee Fleming, the operatic powerhouse who was doing more musical theater by then. I was really looking forward to hear her sing and seeing her perform. I took my seat, and the show started, and I was immediately sucked into the world of the musical and immediately dispatched from that world by what I guess was the sinus infection of the guy sitting next to me. It caused a slightly audible whistle sound to emit during each of his inhales, of which there are plenty during a 2.5-hour musical. I wish I could say that I embodied the learned wisdom of the monk, the post-boat wisdom one can assume he attained and listened past the whistle. But no, I heard that whistle for the whole 2.5 hours. Jessie and Renee were competing with it, at least in my experience. I've never been good enough at meditation to get really frustrated with distractions. I interrupt myself when I'm still in quiet too much to get worked up over other people doing it. But I am an excellent theater audience member, top-notch, appreciative, uncritical, eager to be wowed, and fairly easy to wow. I've seen very few productions that I thought were really bad, and many that I thought were really good, including some that the critics said were actually really bad. I thought that they were good, and those critics were just being grumpy. And so the whistle probably struck me as the boat struck the monk, annoying and distracting, and ultimately something that we let have too much influence over us. That wisdom story is Buddhist, but it speaks to a larger reality, that our reactions to the world around us create the world within us. How we respond to what is going on in the larger world creates the inner narratives that direct most of our energies and activities. And with Thanksgiving barely behind us, we are in the season where we will be driven to do many things in an often frantic pace, consuming and spending far too much, with our thoughts centered mostly on keeping up and getting done everything that we think needs to get done. We enter the season of peace and joy, busy and worried. The culmination of the season, expressed in any of the traditions that have celebrations this time of year, is rushed through rather than paced toward. The festival of the Hanukkah lights, the festival of the Diwali lights, the enlightenment of the Buddha, the birth of Jesus, the observance of Kwanzaa, the winter solstice, all bring messages of peace, joy, and holy community, but all individually, and especially combined, create a sense of overabundant expectation. We create, in how we approach the season of joy, such a space and pace that we miss the meanings of the season amidst the many obligations of the season. Somewhere along the way, early Christians decided to learn from mothers and from childbirth as Christmas got closer. They remembered all the stuff that happens before the birth of Jesus in the story, the Annunciation, the prophecy, the foretellings of the wonder to be, mostly received as good news, sometimes not. And they started to mark the period of Mary's waiting, or her pregnancy, as sacred too. It wasn't just the birth that should be celebrated, but the period leading up to it. They decided not to observe that period of 9 months, but to mark some span of time prior to Christmas as this sacred period of waiting. Different believers observed in different local ways according to emerging traditions and growing customs and the kind of what made sense in specific regions. And eventually this became so popular that official councils got a hold of it and squashed all that diversity in favor of a set period called Advent that begins and ends at a certain time. It started locally, became global, at least in that world, and then lost some of its local meaning and purpose. It became institutional and gained stature, but also lost a kind of direct relevance in the communities that had first met the urge to slow down and rest with this creation of a pre-Advent observance. Always be wary of something that is locally meaningful, be it religious or anything else, getting in the hands of great national power, for it will be made uniform, less diverse, and ultimately less meaningful to the groups that originally created it. They tried to make more uniform the celebrations, as national powers do, but each sect and denomination made unique something about how they observed Advent. And so now there are a bunch of rules and expectations amongst the many groups. Some of those distinctions were made just for the point of being distinct, I'm convinced. Advent still points to the same wisdom, though, the worth and value of engaging this time of waiting, the time of resting, the time of preparation for the celebration that is to come. In the ways that Mary would have prepared for the birth, we too are meant to be mindful of each day and each moment and know each one as preparation for love and hope to reveal itself this season. The waiting and the resting is what allows the meaning to settle in. Otherwise, we rush right past it in the hurry to the holiday, and then it's over, and nothing's really different in our lives except that we're tired. I always love that moment after a big anthem or a powerful music piece, instruments or vocalists or both. I love that beat or two of silence when the music ends. Sometimes during the really magical moments, it's as if there's this consensus among everyone who heard it that something sacred and beautiful just happened. It's as if we agree that this moment was incredible and will never be relived. It's as if everyone is just together, being one in awe and gratitude, at rest in the silence and alive in appreciation. And the applause that comes from that, the celebration that erupts from the silence, feels particularly heart-deep and exuberant. The applause itself continues that sacred expression and pulls people even closer together. The rest and the sounds together create a choreography of beautiful noise that follows that which was prepared and offered by the artists. And sometimes within the piece itself, there will be a rest or two or more, some silence that allows the sounds to integrate into our very beings. There'll be the pause that allows wisdom to find a voice. There'll be the silence that just allows something to be felt. There'll be the wonder-filled moments of quiet peace among the musical piece offered by the artists. All sound, all the time, starts to sound the same, but when rests and quietude and different paces are used, that's when we get something diverse, something like life, varied and rich, and sometimes unpredictable, at least for those of us who can't create music. We get a piece not of one speed for the whole time, but something that slows down and speeds up and is sometimes very quiet and sometimes very loud, as is each day of our lives. We experience a wait. We experience a rest, and the meaning deepens, and we are able to live more intentionally, not being bounced around by the boats near us, but maintaining our own peace and balance and perspective throughout the busyness of the season. And the rests that come to us, and the ones that we find, the ones that we practice, the ones that we create in our lives, become beacons that free others to create the same sorts of peace and happiness that we are trying to create. And though we never make those moments perfectly, and though they are always fleeting, they are nonetheless small moments of Sabbath from the consumerism and status seeking and many demands of the season. Each step we can take out of the noise and toward a slower pace increases the meaning that we can find. Sometimes less really is more, and in this season that asks so much of so many of us, doing less can not only make the season more meaningful for us, but it can show others a new way of celebrating this sacred time. They can take in a sense of our imperfect peace and feel a greater calling toward their own. This might be the best gift we can give a very anxious, very tired, and very worn world. Holy rests, sacred pauses, mindful waiting, daily prayers and meditations, and Advent calendars of chocolate and wisdom are all ways to make special not the whole day and not all of Advent and not 9 months, but a moment or two each day. just a breath, just a beat, just a rest that notes the already sacred moment as indeed sacred, a space that we make in which we become aware even for just a moment of what a gift life is, of what a gift we are to each other, of how much peace and love we can offer the world when it comes from within. May we open those gifts of peace and love in our own beings this season, and may we share them with everyone, all of us in our own little boats, bouncing around into each other on this great cosmic lake. May we smile upon each other's interruptions and row together toward peace. And may the waters upon which we all float hold each of us with grace and in love on calm days and stormy nights together. May it be so, and amen. And at the end of our hour, we extinguish our chalice, knowing that its light stays with us until we gather again. Go forth grateful for the moments before you, the breath within you, the people among you, and the Spirit guiding you toward lives of love and kindness. And go forth knowing that you are held always and always with everyone else by that great love of no beginning and never ending. Go in peace, and amen.